Exclusive gear arrived in Watcher of Realms about a month ago now, and it is phenomenal. Inherently, it gives a special effect to every hero wearing one piece or more. We're going to go through all of those in this video, giving them a rating out of 3 stars. You know, I'm not going to do some kind of like D, B, A, S plus kind of thing. All of this gear gives a bonus effect you could not have otherwise, so it's inherently a plus, assuming you were going to build that set. We're going to continue through this list under that assumption. So instead, I'm going to give it 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, all those being pluses, kind of like it's a Michelin star restaurant. That's the exercise I wanted to do here. So if it's 3 stars, it is like, wow, the set is worth it regardless of any situation. You want to get this piece on that hero. 2 stars is going to be like, this is great. And 1 star is going to be like, this is a nice bonus if you can make it work. That will be the system. I will tell you, with exclusive gear, there are 2 other key things that make it really, really potent in this game. That will be a separate video later in the week. This will be a rating of every single piece of exclusive gear in the game, all 34 pieces of exclusive gear. Before we kick things off at the top of our list with Yovar, a couple things to address. What are these red outlines around 10 pieces of gear on our list? Well, that is to denote the 10 newest pieces of gear arriving tonight with the update coming to Watcher of Realms. So these 10 pieces are new, and then of course the unoutlined boxed in ones are the 24 OG pieces we had with the update last month. Finally, I want to give a big thanks to Craigie from the Celestials Guild cluster. If you guys need a guild, that's a great cluster. I was in it for many months. He made an original draft of the sheet, which I then manually adapted to my own style, and then I incorporated the 10 new pieces. I also want to say thank you to Pink Jesus for sharing that original sheet with me, and to Sebastian Keynes. He made a great video, which you guys can check out, in which he broke down the 10 new pieces of gear, the things I have with the red outline. And that video made it, for me, very convenient because I could get all the new effects from that video, learn about it there, and not have to painstakingly go through my own test server account, forging piece of gear after piece of gear after piece of gear, hunting for the new pieces and discovering the new effects. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Pink Jesus. And of course, thank you, Craigie.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
So let's begin. The first hero is Yovar. He's not one of the new exclusive gear candidates or wearers of gear. He's not one of the new donners of exclusive gear. It came last month with the update. His is a weapon, and you'll see the way the columns work here. It's what hero or perhaps faction is affected, because some of the exclusive gear is hero exclusive. Some of it, as you'll see at the bottom, is faction exclusive. We'll do the heroes first, then the factions. Next, you'll see the type. So when I say type, it's what gear slot is this piece? Is it a weapon? Is it a breastplate? Is it a bangle? Is it an amulet? Is it a ring? Then we have the main stat. For the weapons and for the breastplates, obviously the main stat is fixed. It's always flat attack for the weapons. It is always flat HP for the breastplates. But then each specific hero that gets exclusive gear and each specific faction has some corresponding main stats that are fixed to it. So you'll see Morgan, it will always be a bangle and it will always be attack bonus. Helga will always be an amulet and it will be attack speed. So on and so on. The interesting thing here is with our rings, the rings are always reserved not for heroes, but for our faction exclusive gear, and they always come in 2 forms, an attack bonus version and a crit damage version. That's always the case for the DPS factions as they've denoted them, so those being Curse Cult, Infernal Blast, Nightmare Council, Esoteria Order, and Star Piercer, and the attack bonus piece is always Cataclysm, and the crit damage piece is always Hell's Lament. Finally, we have 2 other factions, North Throne and Watchguard. For North Throne and Watchguard, the attack bonus piece is always still Cataclysm, but then they have a second piece. For North Throne, we've got an HP bonus ring that is Tempered Will, and for the Watchguard, we have a heal effect ring that is Wings of Grace, one of the new strong Tier 3 sets that came with last month's update. Finally, this whole table and all this information will eventually make its way onto my website, fastidious.gg, but that won't be for a week or 2. So for now, I'm going to share this sheet publicly for your guys' records, for your reference. If you have any curious thoughts about what are the effects on each piece of exclusive gear in the game. So first off, we have Yovar. His gear type is a weapon, which obviously has a main stat of flat attack. The set for all the weapons, actually, except for Light's Grace for Laya, which is one of our new pieces of gear, is always Wicked Vengeance. And then his effect is triggering infinite blades, grants 30% damage increase for 5 seconds. Let's go to Yovar now in the gallery. You'll see infinite blades is his ultimate, quite a good ultimate at that. He does that big flurry of swords. The number is dependent on how long it's been since he last ulted. He's generating them through a couple different mechanisms. And yeah, it will be a short bonus, but a big damage increase. He can ult very quickly because he builds rage very quickly. It's not so crazy, the 30% damage increase. Keep in mind, that's not like a whatever damage you did is now times 1.3. It goes on the big pile of all the damage increases. So it will be significant. It probably will be between a 20 and 26% damage increase for those subsequent 5 seconds. It's not game breaking like some of the other exclusive gear. Certainly it's good. We're going to give that 2 stars. Next up, we have Setrum, and this is a fantastic piece of exclusive gear for him. The weapon is the gear slot. The gear type is, of course, main stat flat attack. The set is once again Wicked Vengeance, and the effect is actually 2 separate effects. You'll see that is the case for a couple of these pieces as we go through. There's a period, and then there's a whole new effect. So Setrum is the first example of that. The first one is really simple. Increases damage dealt to shields by 20%. This is a key thing in Setrum's kit. He is a shield breaker. He already has a passive which helps with that. This just makes it even stronger. 20% more damage further to shielded enemies. We like it. And then the second part I really, really like. When in overloaded state, gains 10% penetration. So for him, dealing piercing damage, which is the same as like physical damage, or at least it registers the same in that it's dealing with defense, not magic resistance, this 10% penetration will translate to ignoring 10% of the target's defense. You may be wondering, what does it mean when in overloaded state? Part of his ultimate is he enters overloaded state. So this could easily just be read as during his ultimate, gains 10% penetration. Combine that with the fact that he has the increased damage dealt in all situations, not just during the ultimate. With the ultimate, without the ultimate, increased damage dealt to shields by 20%. I think this is a phenomenal piece for him. It is a good set. I'm giving this 3 stars. Up now, we have Uridin. He is a weapon, flat attack main stat, Wicked Vengeance. You see a theme here for these first 5. His effect is 2 parts. So first off, Rage Regen Auto is increased by 3. I freaking love this. Part of the issue with Uridin is he cannot ult enough. Some of you may not know what Rage Regen Auto is. This is passive rage regeneration. So his base Rage Regen Auto is 12. That means every second he gets 12 ticks of rage towards his ultimate over here. Now it's going to be +3, so it's going to be 15 per second. So just even when he's not attacking or being attacked, he generates, with this piece of exclusive gear, 15 rage points towards his ultimate every second. That is in itself very powerful. Very often you'll see awakenings on legendary heroes, even legendary lord heroes. The A4 will be +1. This is 3 times stronger. It's an extra 3 ticks per second. I really do like that. Second, this has to do specifically to his kit. Phantom Strike and Soul Harvest deal 30% extra damage 1 time. So these are things that can come from when he's ulting. They replace his basic attack. Phantom Strike is if you've loaded his ultimate up once, and then Soul Harvest is if you load it up twice. This is something unique just to Uridin and Valderon. They have something called Potent Surge, where they fill their rage bar, and then if you wait, you can fill it a second time, and what the effects are stronger. Whether you do it once or twice, you'll get either Phantom Strike or Soul Harvest respectively. That's going to come with its normal basic attack, and then 1 initial instance of the extra damage, which is 30%. It's fine. It's with each hit at least. It's 30% bonus damage per hit during the ultimate. It's certainly something. I don't think it's so game breaking. I do like the Rage Regen Auto, so for that reason, I'm going to give it 2 stars because he's really clunky to use and build rage with. This will make it a lot easier. So I do like it, but it's not that crazy. Now we have Valkyra, again, a weapon, flat attack main stat, Wicked Vengeance set. This effect is each stack of Sword of Victory, this is her passive, grants an additional 1% attack boost. This is a lot more powerful than it sounds. In a long battle, she builds many stacks and eventually maxes out her Swords of Victory over here. And you can see with skill ups, it's 5% attack that she stacks up to 8 times. Now you can get an extra 1% over here of attack bonus per stack. With those 8 stacks, that is a lot of stacks, right? That's an extra 8% attack. It might not sound like so much, but attack is God in this game. An additional 8% attack post-deployment is really, really strong. I like this one a lot. Again, it's not to the level, in my opinion, of like what Setram's getting and some of the other heroes we'll see, but I really, really like it. This is going to get 2 stars. Now our 5th and final Wicked Vengeance flat attack main stat weapon hero is going to be Volca, and I love this piece. It is so good. I'll tell you right off the bat, this is 3 stars. It's really loaded. Volca's gotten better and better as the game has gone on and existed. She's grown so well. This piece is, if you can make it work, it's required for her. The effect is 2 parts. The first part, plus 15% crit rate. That is huge. That means once you have like late and end game gear, you can definitely run only 4 pieces with crit rate substats and still max her out, just like you can do normally with Wrath, for example. That is so powerful. That alone, I love that first effect. But then the second thing pushes it over the edge and makes it this clearly 3 stars. Extends the effect duration of her ultimate. So that is Blood Source, and it also is extending the vulnerability placed by the ultimate by 5 seconds. So this ultimate over here, Blood Source, you can see it lasts 10 seconds, and during that time, it inflicts vulnerability to physical damage and magic damage. With full skill ups, it is going to be increased damage dealt by magic damage up to 20% with that additional skill up, and then 20% as well with physical damage. Very, very strong, and it's all going to last an extra 5 seconds, which is 50% longer. This is so, so good. So lasting for 10 seconds, make that 15 seconds. The whole ult in general, she's going to have last for 15 seconds. I love that effect. I love this piece of exclusive gear. That is 3 stars. All right, enough of the Wicked Vengeance weapons. We've now got our first Lord and our first new piece of exclusive gear coming tonight in the update. This is for Laya. It's a weapon, flat attack main stat, and the set is Light's Grace, so kind of the souped up version of the Salvation set. The effect is, during the ultimate, Laya's basic attack is guaranteed to be enhanced. You got to go to her kit, and you'll actually have to see the talent here. Every 3 basic attacks increases the next basic attack's healing by 50%. This is not heal effect. This is the inherent multiplier on her healing that she does with her basic effect. This is really significant. So 1 in every 4 basic attacks that Laya does, period, with no exclusive gear, is going to have that boosted healing. Now, with her exclusive gear, she becomes a far better healer because every single one of her heals for the duration of her ultimate, which granted is only 10 seconds, but every single one of those heals is going to have the 50% boosted heal. I really do like it. She's a 3.0 second interval, so it's not like she's going to get that many heals off. For that reason, she's not getting 3 stars. But for content, especially later on where you need big heals out of Laya, getting that guaranteed boosted basic attack heal on every single one is really, really nice. I'm going to give this 2 stars. All right, now on to the breastplates. You can see Abomination here. It's going to be a breastplate, flat HP main stat. Astral Guardian, which was one of our new sets that came with the update last month. This is increasing HP and defense. Very nice set. You can see the effect. After casting Boundless Endurance twice, that is his ultimate, which, and by the way, after you use that twice, it's a permanent ultimate. You don't ever have to do it again. It just lasts forever. It increases the chance of basic attacks triggering a charged attack by 10% and boosts the damage of those charged attacks by 100%. So you really got to understand Abomination's kit here. You'll see his basic attacks can deal 100% damage to one enemy with a 15% chance of triggering a charged attack that deals 120% AoE damage. This is important now because now instead of a 15% chance of every basic attack triggering the charged attack, with the exclusive piece of gear is a 25% chance. It is a major boost in damage, plus 100%. And very important thing, once you have A1 Abomination, which we all get a free copy, or actually I shouldn't say that because with this update, he's no longer a fusion. But once you pull 2, if you already have Awakened level 1 Abomination, his charge attacks now come with a stun, which is very nice. This piece makes him a lot more viable as a stunner in Semra. So you can see his charge attacks trigger with that his basic attacks trigger. They will inflict stun. You now go from a 15% chance to a 25% chance. I really like this one because the damage boost is really significant. Granted, it's still only 1 out of every 4 basic attacks on the whole. During his ultimate, though, once it becomes permanent, I mean, all his attacks count as basic attacks. I like this one a lot. It's borderline 3-star. I don't think it's as special as the other stuff, though, so it will get 2 stars. You guys might be thinking I'm very generous with these ratings. That's going to change right now. We've got Constance's Breastplate, Light's Grace. You're hearing I'm not going to be generous. You might be thinking, how low can he go? I even thought of giving this, the only one on the whole thing, 0 stars. I will give it 1 stars because the +3 Rage Regen Auto is very nice, but there's a very key issue here with the Light's Grace set that we'll have to talk about. So it's a Breastplate, flat HP main stat. The set is Light's Grace, which I'll tell you right now, it's a terrible choice for her. You need her in Warlord or at least Calamity. She's an inspiration hero. You need her attack high. Light's Grace gives you increased heal effect and rage regen percentage. That is not what we're looking for on Constance, so this is not good. The Rage Regen Auto is the only thing saving it here because it lets her ult more, which lets inspiration happen more. But the other stuff, increasing the healing multiplier of her basic attacks, I like it. This makes her much better as a healer. So the purpose of this gear is when you're not really using her as just an inspiration hero. It's 1 star though, because I'd say 90 to 95% of the time, at least once you get deeper into the game, you're not using Constance as a healer, rarely even using her as a tank. You are very much using her as an inspiration hero, so you care all about attack. This is a 1 star piece without a doubt. Not much to show you here. I guess I'll show you on the ultimate. Inspiration. This is what she's all about. She is a superstar for that reason. Being a super Mariel, which is what she is without this, is not her purpose. She's not just a healing tank. She's an amazing buffer, and this gear does not help her there at all. All right, another legendary lord, this time from the Nightmare Council. We got a Breastplate, HP flat main stat, an Astral Guardian set once again. Tordor, when he's deployed, increases his HP by 10%. That is part 1. That's great. Why not? And then increases the chance of triggering Atrocious Trample by 5% when he attacks. During the ultimate, increases the chance by an extra 5%. So in total, a 10% boost. You got to understand what Atrocious Trample is. That is hard for me to say. Atrocious Trample. Each attack launched has a 20% chance to launch an AoE attack. This goes up to 30% with skill ups. On top of that, it deals the AoE damage. It can also land a stun. So this is really good if you want to use him as a stunner for content. So the places where he excels as a stunner is on defenses in GVG, and then certainly excellent for Semraw. I think this is insanely effective, increasing that by the 5% outside. I don't care about the DPS if that's not clear, the boosted AoE DPS there. But I think the increased chance for the stun by 5% outside of the ultimate from the gear, and then 10% total, is pretty darn game-changing, and it's a perfect set with Astral Guardian. I really love this. Getting this up to during the ultimate a 40% chance with every single attack to land the stun. That is punishing when people are trying to attack your defense in GVG, and it's phenomenal in Semraw. It can really allow him and another decent stunner to do the whole thing, as opposed to having to bring a reserve special stunner like a Helga or a Nazim. I love this piece. If you can't tell, this is going to be 3 stars from me. All right, our second new piece and our last breastplate of the day. We've got Calypso's Breastplate, his HP main stat, and the set is now Wicked Vengeance. So the first Wicked Vengeance exclusive gear breastplate that we have. For each soulstone she generates, increases her damage by 5%. If you don't know Calypso, soulstones are the key mechanism in her kit. Every 600 cost, she generates another soulstone. You can get this down to 500 with skill ups, and these are like extra things that appear floating above her that can deal damage right alongside with her basic attacks. Really nice. They also have a nice passive here where they deal extra damage as well. It's good. She can get up to 4 soulstones at Awaken level 5. You can make that 5 soulstones. Hard for a lot of people to get her A5, but I do have her A5, and that's really nice. So depending on what awakening you have, she's going to have either 4 stacks of the soulstone boost, that's 20% increased damage, or 5 stacks, which is going to be 25%, as you can see here. That is per soulstone. It's definitely good, but it's not so game breaking because it's really only going to help in very long battles where you have time to get a lot of soulstones up, but it's inherently a strict plus for her. For that reason, I'm giving it 2 stars. All right, you may be seeing a theme that I've only given 1 star, a couple 3 stars, then a bunch of 2 stars. That's really going to change over here with the right side gear, so our bangles, our amulets, and our rings, because these don't have fixed main stats, so you're making a big sacrifice, and a lot of these sets are not super desirable. So like to give a 3 star to Silas, for example, would be I'm saying it's so good you're still going to do it even though you have to put him in Hell's Lament instead of Infernal Roar or Soulbound Arcana. It's a much bigger trade-off with the right side gear than the left side gear. So now that you understand that, let us begin with Morrigan. She has a Bangle attack bonus main stat. The set is Cataclysm, which I'll say between Hell's Lament and Cataclysm, Cataclysm is certainly better. What is the effect for Morrigan? Reduces cursed packs. This is her passive. Reduces that effect activation time by 20 seconds. Once it has been activated, increases the damage dealt by an additional 15%. So let's check out Morrigan now. You will see Cursed Pack is going to be this one over here. After being deployed for 50 seconds, increases her damage by 20% permanently. With skill ups, you only need 40 seconds, and it increases her damage by 30%. So you can see it's pretty significant. Instead of having to wait 40 seconds with her at max skill ups, it now takes only 20 seconds because you're cutting this by 20 seconds, so you're cutting it in half. And on top of that, instead of a 30% damage boost with full skill ups, it's up by 50%, by another 15% to 45%. I really like this one. However, it's only getting 2 stars because it's on Cataclysm. Cataclysm is really good. I just do prefer Soulbound Arcana for her so that it gets a knock. So it's only going to get 2 stars. But, you know, if you're using Morrigan in content, certainly if you're using her in like your GVG defenses, I think this is a piece you're going to want to snag. I know personally, I definitely want it. Okay, phenomenal piece alert. We've got Virna's Bangle, attack bonus main stat, Cataclysm set, increases the damage of Reaper's Grasp, that is her ultimate, increases it by 100%, so a big boost, and the execution threshold is increased by 10%. So if you don't know, she has a function in her kit called Execution, and it basically says if the enemy has this percent HP left or less, they instantly die unless they're like a boss or an elite enemy. This increases that threshold by 10%. So with skill ups, it's going to be, you see 25% here, but with skill ups, it goes to 35%. With this exclusive gear, it goes to 45%, plus she's dealing more damage on the ultimate. This is like a must-use piece. Once you're able to build a Cataclysm set, this is so definitively incredible for her. If I could give 4 stars with the system I created, I would. This is the example of an unbelievable piece of exclusive gear, 3 stars. Okay, now we have another Cultist Legendary Mage, Zealous. It's a Bangle, attack bonus main stat, Cataclysm. It extends the ultimate duration by 10 seconds, and during his ultimate, each enemy that dies in range increases his damage permanently by 1% up to 20 times. So a much longer ultimate, and you can get a 20% damage boost. Let's check out that ultimate now. You'll see it normally lasts only 10 seconds, which is not long enough. Doubling this, believe it or not, makes this a 3-star piece. Zealous isn't good, so kind of who cares, but this will make him so much better. So without a doubt, this is a 3-star piece of exclusive gear because it will make Zealous relevant on certain accounts that need to use him. It makes him a lot stronger. All right, on to the amulets. We have Arrogance, a phenomenal hero, and this is a phenomenal effect. It's an amulet, attack bonus main stat, Cataclysm. Hellfire skill cost is reduced by 100. I'm gonna give this 3 stars, even though I don't love the set. I mean, Cataclysm it's close to as potent as Soulbound Arcana, and someone like Arrogance, so many of his moves are counted as basic attacks, so he'll get the full effect. It's kind of a wash to me when you take into account how insanely strong this effect is. I think you have to use it once you're able, and this will take a lot of people several months, if not longer, once you're able to build Cataclysm sets. But this one is so good because you can see his ultimate with max skill ups is 750 costs. All of his crazy damage comes from his ultimate. Bringing this down to 650 is a huge boost. Someone did a test for like the official Moonton testers that they posted on Discord. It's very significant. As soon as you get this, start looking at that Cataclysm gear and see if you can build a nice set for Arrogance, especially in long battles like Guild Boss 2. You absolutely are going to want to use this. This is going to be a 3-star piece. You know, I said I was going to give less 2 and 3 stars, but there's actually some of these are so good, and Dolores is no exception. This might be the single best. I'm just going to say this is the single best piece of exclusive gear in the game right now. For Dolores, it is an amulet, attack bonus main stat, Wings of Grace is the set. Dolores is an inspiration hero. You absolutely want that attack bonus main stat. This is guaranteed now on all of her exclusive amulets. What does it come with? 2 effects, but we really only care about the second one. Heal effect plus 10, that's fine. Certain content, Dolores is never going to be a main healer or even a second healer, probably not even a third healer, but she can do a little healing for you, so that's something. But wow, increases the chance of rage regen from Merciful Bounty by 20% is the biggest game changer you could possibly have. The RNG in Dolores is a huge headache. Her Merciful Bounty gives her a chance to give 1/3 of her rage back after her ultimate ends. You can see it says 50% here, but at Awaken level 5, it goes up to 80%. This piece of exclusive gear brings it to the full 100%. No longer do you have to worry about RNG in your battles. This makes it all a guarantee. Things like Guild Boss 1, Guild Boss 2, Arbiter Frost, everything, everywhere in the game, because you use Dolores everywhere. This is entirely game-changing. I even would run this as a broken piece before having a full Wings of Grace set if you had enough DPS for other stuff, because it gives you so much peace of mind. I freaking love this. Perfect piece. 20 stars. All right, let's crash back down to Earth after so many 3-star ratings in a row. We've got Helga's Amulet, attack speed main stat with Cataclysm as the set. Certainly a good piece, but there's nothing game-breaking in here at all. Attack speed plus 30. She's the kind of hero you want going lightning quick, so we like it. And then the second effect is she increases Quill Storm's damage by 30%. Quill Storm, as you can see over here, is going to be this passive. During the ultimate, every 8 times she deals damage, she's going to inflict stun and deal some more damage. So now it's instead of 100%, or it's 120% with skill ups, it goes to 150% with skill ups. It's good, but it's not that much of a damage boost. It's 25% boost on her 8th hit every once in a while, which, because she's so fast, and during her ultimate, it's crazy how fast she's putting out hits. It's going to happen with some frequency, but not enough to make you care too much. The attack speed only 30, like if it was like 80 or something, then we could talk. To me, this is a pretty definitive 1-star piece. If you already had the stuff for a Cataclysm set for her on your account, of course you would use it, but you're not really seeking this out. We've got another one here that I don't like at all. This one's even worse. We've got Comet's Amulet. So why don't I like this? Attack bonus main stat, that's great, but the set, Hell's Lament, significantly worse than Cataclysm and certainly much worse than Soulbound Arcana, or, I mean, Infernal Roar is not what you'd use on Comet, but certainly like way worse than Soulbound Arcana. So you're having to make a big sacrifice to use this. You can see here, Rage Regen Auto plus 1. So where other heroes like Constance or Urine are getting 3 extra ticks per second towards their rage, Comet's just getting the 1. I don't love it at all. Ultimate damage multiplier plus 20%. It sounds better than it is. It's thrown on the big damage booster pile. It's a good pile to be on, but this is going to lead him to do like 15% more DPS, and I would suspect by putting him in Hell's Lament, you're going to lose like 15 or more percent. So I don't see this as something you're really excited to use in its current form. This is a definitive 1-star piece of exclusive gear, in my opinion. Now we have got Salazar. He has an amulet. The main stat is attack bonus, and the set, once again, unfortunately, is Hell's Lament. The effect here is he increases Slashing Blitz's number of strikes by 2. This is his ultimate. During his ultimate, he has his interesting kind of Constance Dolores range. He gets that diamond shape, and he does his crazy strikes 6 times in all directions, hitting random enemies. This brings it from 6 strikes to 8 strikes. So the number of strikes is 33% greater. We like that, but at the end of the day, it's not that significant in my opinion. It's the definition of, hey, if already you were going to make a Hell's Lament set work on Salazar, you can slide this in, but otherwise, who really cares? You know, 2 more hits every ult is great, especially for things like Arena, single target. It could be really nice, but the sacrifice you're making by putting him in the Hell's Lament set, I think is almost always not going to be worth it, at least for now, the way the set works and the way this gear is pretty inaccessible in the game. He's got a low cost ult, but it's not like he's someone with a 200 or 300 cost ult where you'll be spamming this all the time. I really don't like this piece very much. 1 star. Alrighty, some more trash. We've got Shamir's Amulet. It is an attack speed main stat. It is going to be Hell's Lament for the set. Terrible set choice for him specifically. Very bad. When dealing damage with his ultimate, reduces the target's magic resistance by 20% for 5 seconds. It sounds better than it is. It's not like every hit during his ultimate is going to lead to this magic res reduction, and he's got a long ultimate. His ultimate is a burst, and it's only going to last 5 seconds. It's just not enough. It's a little AoE magic defense break, magic resistance break, which is great, but it doesn't last long enough. You know, this is fairly low cost at 400, but it's not happening enough to keep crazy uptime on the magic break. Is it desirable for him? Sure, if you can make it work, but being on a bad set and not having the uptime you'd like, it's not nearly as OP as I thought it was when I first read it. Like if this was every single hit he did came with the magic break, beautiful, but it's not. 1 star. And now the last of the hero exclusive gear, havers, donners, whatever you will call it, and the last of our amulet type exclusive gear pieces. We have Silas's amulet. This is an attack bonus main stat, and wouldn't you know it, once again, it is a Hell's Lament set. This piece has potential, but it's just that. This set is so much worse, especially for a hero as potent as Silas, than something like an Infernal Roar or a Soulbound Arcana. It's quite the major trade-off. The effect is nice, but it is not game-breaking. So what is Soul Sniping? Soul Sniping is the key mechanism in Silas's kit that makes Silas Silas. He deals 140% damage typically with Soul Sniping. This brings it to 160%. The reason Soul Sniping is so strong is because normally it ignores half of the target's defense, so 50%, but during the ultimate, and this is why Silas is broken and the best single target for so many things in the game, during the ultimate, Soul Sniping instead ignores 100% of the target's defense and magic resistance. So strong, bringing that number from 140% to 160, especially when you're ignoring a nice chunk of the defense, or during the ultimate, all the defense and all the magic resistance. That's really great. But up 20% is, it's more than if he wasn't ignoring all that stuff, the effect, but it's not so crazy. Combine that with the fact that the set is really bad, it's really just not going to be worth it unless somehow you're making all the things work together properly. Unfortunately, piece with potential, but that's all it is for now. Not very desirable. 1 star. Finally, our faction exclusive gear. We're going to go very fast here, guys, because as you can see, even though each faction has 2 pieces, you can just take note of that right now. I broke it down at the beginning. It's really just saying what is the main stat and what is the set. The effect for each faction is always the same on each faction piece, which I like. It's nice and consistent. And with this update, these are our last 8 new pieces. And the key thing to know is with this, we get our last 4 remaining normal factions. So now if we look through Cursed Cult to Starpiercer, these are the 7 normal factions in the game. So all the factions that we have in the game, besides the ancient exclusive ones, Chaotic and Arbiter, and of course the Unnamables. Worth saying, all of these pieces work on unnameable heroes. So Ymeric and Ajax, they benefit so much from this gear because they can wear any of it. It's too bad it's only on rings. Otherwise, you could have I could have my Ymeric with like a Watchguard Bangle, a Cursed Cult amulet, and a Nightmare Council ring. That'd be so OP. Maybe that's why they put it all on rings for now. But you can see cool stuff. Let's just go for each faction, how good I think the effects are. Cursed Cult increases damage dealt to enemies inflicted with crowd control effects by 10%. This is very similar to what all the Lord skills in the Cursed Cult do, so it's kind of boosting that effect. It's an extension of that. I like it. I think it's very solid. I would not seek it out unless the set was already going to happen. That's the case for basically all of this stuff, except for maybe Infernal. I'll tell you, for Cursed Cult, I'm going to give this 2 stars. Borderline 1 star, but it synergizes perfectly with the Lord skill. We'll give it 2 stars. Let's actually, no, we'll keep going. We'll see North Throne here. So simple. When deployed, increases max HP by 10%. This is just like as if you picked up 10% more max HP in a substat. It is not special unless you already were going to make that set happen. Definitive 1 star. Watchguard increases damage dealt and healing effect by 8%. 8% is something, but it's not that much. Building a set for this is not worth it. Broken Piece, of course you're going to use it, but until we have tons of this gear, you're not going to be building sets for this. So for the time being, clearly 1 star. Infernal Blast, this is my favorite by a mile, and it's our first new faction getting faction exclusive gear. Upon casting, the ultimate increases critical damage by 15% and penetration by 10% for 12 seconds. This boosts every hero when they ult. It boosts them all if they're ulting while a Twin Fiend or a Soul Cadence or a Pyros is ulting, so you're powering them up more. This is very, very powerful. The sets, It's sad that it's, imagine if you had this on Soulbound Arcana or Infernal Roar, but I will say the Cataclysm piece especially is phenomenal. To me, this is 3 stars. It will take some more testing, but the second ring here, the attack bonus main with the Cataclysm, with that amazing effect, that's going to be 3 stars. I think that's worth seeking out. The Hell's Lament, not so much, but I do think it's good enough that I will give it 2 stars, not 1 star, 2 stars, even though it is a Hell's Lament set. Nightmare Council, this one I love because it's perfectly in line with, it's like an extension of the Lord skill again, where Tordor gives the extra chance to deal another basic attack. Now all your basic attacks have an extra chance to deal damage, more instances of damage, more rage, more stuff, more effects, more ults, this, that, and the other. I love it. Obviously, I like the Cataclysm version more than the Hell's Lament. It's also worth mentioning, Hell's Lament is getting the worst substat because in almost all content, attack bonus in this game is king. So for me, the Cataclysm one is 2 stars. The crit damage Hell's Lament one is 1 star. 2 to go. Our last 2 new ones, Esoteria Order. The effect is upon casting the ultimate, restores 8% rage for the hero. This is kind of like what Helga's exclusive artifact does, but now it will do it for every member of the Esoteria Order. A lot of these guys have expensive ults, so an 8% boost, not 8 rage points, but 8% is really significant. If you have a 1200 ult cost, this is like 100 rage points boost. It's very, very nice. I like it a lot, but again, it's about the set for me. The Cataclysm version, I'll give 2 stars. The Hell's Lament version, I will give 1 star. Finally, Star Piercer, 1 star, 1 star. Anti-air damage plus 8%, sure, it's something, but that is not enough to seek these sets out. Absolutely, eventually you might use it if you stumble upon it or if things change, but for now, it's just a little bonus if it was going to happen already because you already were doing these sets. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I have been Fastidious. Like I said, in the description of this video, in the top pinned comment, I will share this for you guys so you can see the whole thing. Use it at your leisure. It's a hard video to film, so if you liked it, absolutely subscribe to the channel. Huge thank you to R-Type for editing this one. I hope I didn't make it too hard. I've got to go watch my girlfriend's father sing in his Christmas choir at a church in Bodenheim, Germany. Goodbye, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Share it with your mother. Peace.
Fastidious.